everyone, my name is Jessica, aka Flotaro from Finding Flotaro, and welcome to my channel. I'm going to be filming a smoky brown eye. If you're interested in creating this look with me, keep watching. So I was watching a KathleenLights video where she was showcasing different ways to wear red lipstick with different makeup looks, and I was very intrigued about her brown smoky eye look, so I wanted to recreate that. I'm just cutting some tape right now to stick on my eyes so that it can be a good guideline. I'm using tape on my eyes so that I can use it as a guideline when I'm creating this smoky look for the winged out section so that it's not messy or anything. I just kind of want it to be clean and structured for this look. Normally I don't really use tape, but for this one I'm trying to go for more structured and clean. Okay, so I got the tape on my eyes. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a soft brown. I think I'm going to use Riff from Urban Decay's Born to Run palette. It's just this one right here. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put that all over the crease, focusing more on the outer V. And the good thing about using the tape is that you can be a little bit more messy and you don't need to be as precise as you normally would. You can just take off the tape once you're done and you'll have that clean line right there. So I'll make sure to link KathleenLights' video down below so that you can see sort of how she did it. She created 2 other makeup looks to pair with the red lip, and so you should definitely check that out. So I am turning 30. By the time you guys see this, I'll already be 30. I don't know how I feel. You're kind of given this expectation that you need to have everything together by the time you turn 30. There's this pressure to have a good job, to live in a good house, to have the perfect life. But I'm finding out that like no one around me has that, or very rarely do I find people who have that sort of lifestyle by the time that they're 30. Right now I'm unemployed, so I've got that going for me. Way to go me. So while I've been this downtime of just interviewing and applying to jobs, I've just fallen back on watching YouTube videos, reading fashion blogs. That's sort of what I do, like in the background as I'm tweaking my resume or cleaning. I just turn on a makeup video and I just have it chilling in the background. So I figured, why not start my own? Friends always ask me for advice on which products to use, or they say you should start your own YouTube channel, but it's kind of like everyone has their own YouTube channel, so why do I need to start one? What else am I adding to it? But I sort of figured, looking into it, it's not what else can I add, it's sort of more of my own outlet, a way to keep myself sane and have this creative outlet for myself while I'm going through this time. Because for a little bit you start to question your self-worth, your self-value once you don't have a job, and it was just kind of all getting to me. And so I decided to create a blog where I can just talk about things that make me happy, so like makeup, fashion, and just whatever else I don't want to. So I'm going to take a smaller blending brush, and I'm going to take the Tartelette in Bloom palette. I really like this palette. I find it's best for just everyday normal use. The colors are pretty neutral, nude colors, and so you can just use it for everything. So I'm going to take this shade, and I'm going to put that directly on the crease and not really blend it out, and just concentrate it on the crease. And then I'm gonna sort of start creating this outer V here. So continuing what I was talking about, just the pressures of, having to have it all figured out. And for a while I was really bogged down by that pressure of, oh no, like I'm going to be 30 and I have nothing accomplished. But then I started realizing, like, I can't be the only one. I can't be the only one who doesn't feel like they have everything figured out. And so I started talking to a lot of my friends, just reading a lot more articles, and everyone feels this way. Well, that's what it seemed like, you know? We all have, especially people in my generation, we have the millennial generation. It's taken us a while to kind of figure out, and I'm totally generalizing, but it's taken us a while to sort of figure out what we're meant to do. And now I'm just looking at 30 as being sort of a stepping off point. Like, I've had my 20s as a chance to experiment and figure out what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And so now I feel I have a better grasp of what I want to be as a person, of what I want around me as a person. I have this framework, and now I'm gonna put it to use, you know? So I'm still taking Rebel, and I'm concentrating on my outer V, and then I wanna just brush it along the lash line because we're gonna create sort of that liner look. So I'm not gonna be using any eyeliner or liquid liner for this look. I'm just gonna go gradually darker with my eyeshadow so that it can create the effect of having a winged liner, but just with using eyeshadow. It's gonna create a softer look. So for those of you who are already 30 or about to turn 30, or, you know, just feel you can relate to this struggle of constantly being under pressure of having to have this perfect life, how do you cope with that? Like, how do you not let the pressure get to you? What coping mechanisms do you have, whether it's, you know, staying off social media or taking a social media break? What I found to do is actually opening up about my situation. I've actually learned that by opening up, it creates like a deeper connection with people. And then you also learn that like they're experiencing the same things too. So you can communicate about it, you can share your thoughts with each other. And it just, I don't know, like I said, it makes you feel less alone, and that it's normal, you know? It seems like everyone is going through this experience. So we have that darker brown blended into the crease, so we didn't really bring it up as much as the first color. We kind of just kept it here in the main crease part, and then in the outer V. And so now I think I'm going to take an even darker brown. I'm gonna take this one called Punk. It's a tree brown with a little bit of red hues in it. And then this, we're just gonna focus mostly on the outer V and just keep it right here so that it can create sort of that smoky line, and then bring it more along the lash line. So it's a new year, January 2019. I'm happy for the new year. I felt 2018 for me personally was a hard year. It was a year of actually confronting who I am as a person and trying to figure out what I really value, whether it's in a person, in myself, or in life, you know? So yeah, it was definitely a growing year for me. Okay, so it turns out I wasn't recording. It records in 30-minute increments. Good to know for the future. But all I did was that I continued working with that dark brown near the lash line, and then I went in with Jet, this black color, and then I just put that all along the lash line, just concentrating it on the lash line so that it can act as a mock liner. Yeah, so that's what I'm just gonna be doing now. So if you guys haven't heard about or purchased this palette, I love it. It's the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, and it has a pretty cool cover, but these colors, they're very versatile. You have your nude mattes, your shimmers, warm and cool tones, and so I feel that you can bring this along when you travel, and it's just your all-around good to go palette. I really like it. I really love the colors here. And one of the good things is, look at this mirror. It's ginormous. So I'm just gonna continue smudging the black along my lash line on this eye. I think I'm just going to take that first blending brush, the one that we used with Riff, that first light brown color over here. And then I'm just going to make sure that everything is blended and smoked out. I don't want there to be any harsh lines, and I want to make sure everything all the colors melt into each other just to create that almost ethereal, dramatic smoky. Sometimes I like to take my finger too and then just rub it at the edge just lightly, and I feel it helps with blending out the edges. So I'm just going to do that to the other side. So now we're going to take off the tape and hopefully it'll be a clean, sharp line. So it's a little bit too sharp for me, so I'm just going to buff the edges out a little bit, just so it doesn't look so perfect. And then once I go in with my foundation, I can also smudge it out a bit. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Let's work on some foundation. So I've already moisturized. I put on my sunscreen. 2019. Always remember to put on sunscreen. We can't be looking old now. So I have my sunscreen on. So I'm going to go in with my Makeup Forever HD foundation stick. I really like this foundation. It's easy to travel with. You just twist it up and then you just apply it. It's a little dark. I'm not as tan as I was. It's my winter shade and I haven't had time, or I'm debating if I want to actually buy a winter shade foundation because rarely am I ever this light. I think it's close enough that we can just make it work. When your foundation shade doesn't entirely match your skin, just make sure that you blend it down the bottom to your neck so that it all matches. But yeah, I really like this foundation. It's very creamy. I have normal to dry skin with oily area right here on my nose area, but I find it really works for me. I'm not sure if it might be too creamy for those with oily skin, but for my skin type, it works really well. So I'm just gonna take this Real Techniques Expert face brush. It has really dense bristles here at the top so that it can buff out the foundation. With cream foundations or stick foundations, I feel a beauty blender, it takes a lot of effort to blend it out. So I like doing a dense makeup brush, a kabuki brush, and then just buffing it out that way. So I didn't put on a lot of foundation. You can still see my freckles. If you wanted to increase the coverage, you can always add more. I might add more. I don't really want my freckles to show right now, so I'm just gonna add more coverage there. And then down here. And I think that's good for right now. Hopefully, we'll see. And then we're just gonna blend that out. When you're applying a second layer, I like to tap it in versus blending it in circular motions. You don't want to take off the layer that you already put on. And I feel when you blend it out in circular motions, there's a tendency for that to happen. So I like to just tap it in. Okay, so the face is blended out. It gives a nice, it's not really a matte finish, but it's more like a skin type natural finish. I'm gonna take my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. So this is my first time purchasing this concealer. I got it in the shade Sand. I like it, I like the coverage, I like the finish. The one thing I don't like though is how many times you have to click to cycle to get the product to come up, and it's kind of messy, this spongy thing at the top. But other than that, I like it. So we're just going to apply this in the upside down triangle so that you highlight under your eyes area and down the sides of your nose. I always get red here, and so I like to make sure that it's covered. And then just right down the middle. And then I'm just gonna take a damp beauty blender and then I'm just going to tap this out. Okay, So once that's blended out, I'm going to set it. I'm going to be using Patrick's powder with this collaboration from MAC. So this is the second edition of this powder. The first time it came out, it was a huge hit. I tried to get it, but it was all sold out. And so I got it this round. I love the powder. I love the finish of this powder. It creates such a smooth appearance everywhere. The only thing I don't really like is the container, the packaging. So it comes in this, comes with this poof. I don't really use the poof, but then it's just from here. So what you need to do, at least the only way I figured out how to use it is you just tap it and then see it comes out from here, and it kind of makes a big mess, and you can tap it into the lid or just, I guess, use it from the side. But yeah, it's kind of inconvenient to use. If I'm using it wrong, please let me know. I don't do heavy baking. It kind of dries out my skin, and sometimes it makes it look a little crepey, and so I don't put a lot on. But luckily with this powder, it gives it a very smooth finish. And there's no flashback, which I really like. I like to set my smile lines too. They run deep. I like to smile. And so I notice by the end of the day though, I get creasing along there. So I make sure to set it there too. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go back to my eyes and kind of darken this up a little bit and then blend it out more so it's not such a harsh line. So I'm going to take that more condensed blending brush with the tapered tip, and I am going to take, we'll take a little bit of that punk color, the dark brown, and we'll just go over that outer corner. And then I'm just going to take a clean blending brush, and then I'm just going to go over that. Okay, so I darkened it out and just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So now I'm going to work on the lower lash line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a mixture of Jet, the black, and Punk, the dark brown. And I'm just gonna add that to the outer lower lash line. And then as I work in towards the inner corner, I'm just going to get a lighter brown and use that towards the center, or towards the inner corner. Okay, so let's work on some brows. Thankfully, I have a lot of hair in my eyebrows, but they kind of thin out towards the tail of it. So I'm just going to fill in the tail of the brow just to make sure it's fuller. And then I'm just going to take the spoolie on the other end and brush that out so the pencil marks blend in. And then I'm going to take the brow gel, and I like this because it not only holds your brows in place, the brow hairs, gives it a little bit of thickness. Okay, so for mascara, I'm going to use Milk Makeup's Kush mascara. So my eyelashes are really straight and they like to point downwards. For mascaras, I like things that are a little bit thicker. It has a more creamy consistency. Some of the mascaras, they have this more wet feeling. I like this one because it actually lifts them up. So if you have eyelashes like mine that, you know, are stick straight and point straight down, what are some mascaras that you like? I'm always on the hunt for new mascaras, and a lot of the time they don't work out for me, and so I end up just giving them to my sister, who has really long, really curly lashes, so she can use just about anything. So I used to curl my eyelashes a lot, but I don't know what was going on, but it kept pulling out my lashes, and for a while I had just a chunk of eyelash missing. See how, I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a section that's way shorter than it all, and so I try not to use the eyelash curler anymore. So sometimes to get past that, I just wait till the mascara is a little dry, and I'll take my finger or I'll take the bottom of a makeup brush and I'll just push it up. It works best when it's a little dry so that it'll hold, and you just sort of push it and make its own little natural curl. Okay, so I have my mascara on. So we're gonna color up the face now, and we're gonna start with some contour. What I've been using recently is Maybelline Fit Me Concealer. I have it in the shade Cafe, number 30. And I just like to use this as a cream-based contour. I just like to put it right below, almost on top of my cheekbones. Not a lot. I always have a hard time of making it even, so one side's usually more snatched than the other, but just show whichever side you like the best. Just a little, you know, a little angle. And then I'm just gonna blend that out with a dense kabuki brush. I always start with a little, and then if I need more, I'll add more. Since this is always the last step, I'm afraid that if I add too much at the beginning and then I can't blend it out, then I'd have to start over. I'm going to go over that with some powder. So I'm going to just take a cheek brush. This is from Smashbox. I really like it. It has the angled brush head, and I'm just going to use NARS Laguna, this bronzer. So I'm just going to fill up my brush and then just tap it over where we put the Maybelline concealer. I like how Laguna gives off a warm vibe, and so it bronzes up the skin to give a more sun-kissed. I have a problem with sitting up straight. I always, you know, slouch over. I'm trying to fix that. Ever since I was little, I'm always hunched over. I'm never conscious about it, so I'm trying to add that to the list of things to improve on. Posture. So I don't really want a lot of blush. I kind of like this brown look that's going on. So I'm just going to take this Milani Baked Bronzer in the shade Glow, number 4. So it has this pretty gold bronze sheen. So I'm just gonna dust a light cover of that. I'm just using the same brush. Hopefully this is showing up on camera. I know sometimes with the lights and the cameras it washes you out, and so you can't really see the intensity of it. In person, it looks very bronzed and blushed. There's a lot of color, but sometimes on my viewfinder, it's showing up as a little washed out, so hopefully that's not the case. So now I am just going to set my face. I have the Prep and Prime from MAC. This one is in the coconut flavor. It's just a little sample size. I bought it in a pack of 3. I'm just gonna douse my face in this so that it melts the powder and it gives it a skin-like texture. Okay, so that's sprayed. Smells tropical. So once the face is all dry, we're gonna work on the lips. So I want to do a dark red, almost a maroon brown red for this look. So first I'm gonna go in with some lip liner. I have this shade Tawny Tulip by Clinique. So I've lined the outer corners of it just to give it a darker appearance because I want it to look more contoured. If you make the outer corners a little bit darker than the inner part, it gives it a more plump appearance. So it's like mock lip fillers. Okay, so I have my little mini lipstick that I got in a kit from Buxom Beauty. This is Ruby Temptress from the Big and Sexy line. So I'm just going to fill in my lips. So let's add some highlighter. So I use this Maybelline eyeshadow. It's called the Glow Down, and it's a pretty gold eyeshadow. This came out before the Master Chrome highlighters that Maybelline put out. And so I believe that this is it's similar to one of the shades, the original shade that came out. So I've just been using this. Melissa Alatorre, she's the one who I learned this from, so kudos for you, girl. And so I just take a fluffy, it's like an oversized blending brush. I just lightly tap it, and then I tap it onto my cheekbone. I only apply it towards the outer edge of my face. When I smile, my cheeks like raise up, and so if I come down, it's like going into my eyes. It just accentuates my chubby cheeks, and I want more of a snatch look. So I'll make sure to list all the products I used in the description box. I think this is it. I'm gonna give myself one more spray and then I'll give you the final look. So I've sprayed my face and added some hoops and brushed my hair, and this is the final look. I really liked how it turned out. I feel that the smoky brown achieves that level of drama, but without being too edgy and sharp as what you'd normally get with a winged liner. I love how the red just kind of pulls everything together, and matched with hoops, and you're all set to go. I hope you've enjoyed your time with me. Hopefully there'll be more to come. So just subscribe and check your notifications bell to see whenever a video comes up. This is in conjunction with my blog at findingflowtro.com. There at findingflowtro.com you'll find posts about makeup, fashion, and whatever else that interests me at the moment. Once again, I'm Jessica, and thank you for watching.